you expect me to just call it quits? Not likely. Coming for the title at the top, you won't stop me. Think that I missed my shot, but no, I'll be damned if I give you a chance to take us down again. I've got what it takes to get you in the end. I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm inspired, I won't quit. You can call yourself king, but I won't submit. I'm never gonna stop this. Be the ones to end this. Never let this go. Threatening, this will be a day of reckoning. This is our time. We have drawn the battle lines, listen to our war cry. We fight for those who left behind. We live for those who were denied. We know your fate is set in stone. We've come to take the throne. We kneel to no more kings tonight. We bleed but won't give up the fight. We scream that we will take you that way. Here for the crown. Take your eyes off us, cause you're in for a treat. You sow the seeds that we've come to reap. And believe me, defeat is in your future. I don't need a crystal ball to see the way that you can lose this, all the ways that you can fall. You call us fanatics, but you're the one who's obsessed. Claim to conquer it all, but you just write checks. Another player in your sights, but you don't understand. You'll never have shit on a self-made man. We are never gonna stop this. Be the ones to end this. Never let this go. Threatening, this will be a day of reckoning. This is our time. We have drawn the battle line, listen to our war cry. We fight for those who left behind. We live for those who were denied. We know your fate is set in stone. We've come to take the throne. We kneel to no more kings tonight. We bleed but won't give up the fight. We scream that we will take you that way. Here for the crown. We fight for those who left behind. We live for those who were denied. We know your fate is set in stone. We've come to take the throne. We kneel to no more kings tonight. We bleed but won't give up the fight. We scream that we will take you that way. Here for the crown.
Welcome back to Berlin, Germany. It has been 384 days since we last saw the players in this studio. But today, they return to the home of the LEC for the opening series of the spring playoffs. Fnatic and SK have a lot to prove over the last few weeks, and their road to redemption starts in the lower bracket. I am so hyped and so excited to see the players back in the studio, back on stage, and see who's going to deliver under the pressure. Ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else, I'm your host today, Quickshot, joined by one of the edgiest casters I know, the singer of Crown, as we're starting the race for the crown.
Hello.
And, of course, Crownshot.
Of course, we're joined by the expert here, Crownshot, the man who's hopefully going to give us a lot of insight. Hopefully his insight is better than his Ashe arrows. Am I right, Quickshot?
that is fake news. My arrows are great. My arrows are good.
Oh, Crownshot, thank you so much for joining us today and tomorrow. And thank you to everybody at home who's jumping into the LEC playoffs. Let's dive straight into it and talk about what got us here. Let's look back at the regular season. And I think it's fair to say that G2 Esports and Rogue simply dominated the rest of the competition.
They certainly did. I think the consistency is the keyword for both these teams, and often you can't say that about G2 during the regular season. They tend to have these up and down shaky performances where they often rely on their individual talent to carry them through, but with the addition of Reckless, I feel like we've seen a core consistent performance from this team, and the same can be said for Rogue. They have two very different styles, but both very dominant during the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Captain Consistency Reckless helping out there on the G2 side. Now, Crownshot, obviously you joined Vitality halfway through spring, right? So what was your take on the teams? You can see the table in front of you and how Europe played throughout spring.
Well, I think for sure G2 and Rogue are the best, were the best teams because they had the best meta read and they were just the most consistent. And you could obviously see it. There were only a few best of ones they dropped. I think Schalke kind of surprised everyone the last week, but other than that, I think before the split, I predicted G2 Rogue to be top 2 because I just felt that the lineups were the most consistent and solid.
Crownshot, can you expand a little bit on your surprise there for Schalke? Because I think when I looked at the team, they came out the gate swinging at the beginning of spring and looked like they just carried on that form from the end of summer last year, but then just fell off a cliff completely. And I mean, you already mentioned it, you know, they found their form again, but what happened? Why did we see such swings in their performance?
I think maybe it was the addition of like 2 new players. They needed some time to find like a style that worked for them, and obviously spring is always like some teams have a lot of growing pains in spring, so I guess that's what they had in the middle. Maybe they had a bit of a honeymoon phase at the start, but it looks like they picked it up towards the end. So
yeah, to me, it felt like the preparation was very obvious in their final week because, as Crownshot was saying, their identity was like quite clear at the beginning of the split. Then in the middle, where they were going on that very long losing streak, it felt like that they were struggling to figure out what they wanted to do. But coming to the final week, they showcased a wide array of different drafts, a lot of different styles, and I'm excited to see what they can bring out against G2 because they are one of the few teams that actually go toe-to-toe when it comes to the win-loss record in G2 during the regular season.
They do, but it's in those best of ones, right? And it's those ones. You have to look at G2 in a BO5. I mean, after everything in spring, this is what the playoff bracket will look like. Obviously, today, we will be seeing Fnatic taking on SK. Tomorrow, G2 versus Schalke, and then Rogue versus the Mad Lions. I will give you a breakdown of how this bracket works a little bit later in Ready Check. And throughout playoffs, you guys at home can participate in all of our digital activities. Pick up your mobile, go to lec.gg/rift and join our LEC-themed arcade. You can get access to a virtual studio tour, a new version of the LEC quiz, plus a whole lot of mini-games featuring the LEC songs. To participate, log in with your Discord account and start earning points by taking part in those activities. The top 10 at the end of spring will win themselves some LEC merch and in-game content. To show you just how awesome winning LEC merch might be, here's a tease of our newest collection.
Check out our gym lover Vedius. Ooh, those new LEC joggers look fine. With their flexible and soft material, this boy could squat for years in a permanent state of comfort. Ain't that great? Here we have the wonderful Shox, rocking our new LEC t-shirt. With the simple design and great fit, it will add to any look you're after. Fans not included. Wow, Medic, it sure is cold in here. Take this. With the new LEC hoodie, you'll never feel the cold again. So it's like you'll have your own personal tibbers, just without the fire and the burning. The new LEC merch is soft, comfortable, and stylish. Look at how happy they all are. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to lec.gg/merch and get yours now.
Wow, those models sure are attractive. And you could be too if you grabbed yourself some merch. So head over to lec.gg/merch. But we have playoffs to get through, and the playoffs patch will be 11.6. And with few changes happening to the Rift, I wanted to highlight some of the most important picks we're going to be seeing in playoffs. So, from the perspective of pros, these would be considered S-tier picks, champions that can be blind picked without hurting their comp or immediately putting them in a bad matchup. So basically champions we're going to be seeing a lot in playoffs. Let's start with the top lane. With nerfs to Renekton, he's likely to fall off in priority, but Gnar, Aatrox, and Sion are still the go-to. These champions would be considered stable and strong in the top lane right now, easily being played into most matchups, with Gnar most likely being the safest and easiest blind pick. Each provides strong team fighting, can act as a good frontline, and also create some pressure on a side lane. Overall, all three are pretty well-rounded and will likely be seen a lot. In the jungle, fast clear speeds are the go-to. Both Lilia and Hecarim clear fast, scale well, but work in slightly different ways. Lilia provides AP damage and has different build options, either going supportive or full damage. This gives some flexibility in mid and top, along with offering good teamfight utility from her ultimate. Hecarim recently found a full tank one-shot build. By going chem tank, you have a really powerful engage when combined with its E that does a lot of damage and is an easy way to start fights. Expect these two to be the highest priority junglers. Mid hasn't really changed that much this split. AD mid laners like Trist and Lucian are still very powerful because they scale well, have priority in lane, and spike well on one item. When paired with popular AP junglers, you also have a mixed damage profile, so these two champs continue to be strong. Tristan is also an effective flex pick, giving teams more options in the draft. Twisted Fate has always been strong here in Europe because of his relatively safe laning and powerful ultimate. The ability to impact sides is very strong, and EU teams know how to use it well, so expect him to likely stay on the ban table. In the bot lane, we're moving away from Kai'Sa and into Xayah and Trist. As mentioned, Trist is already an effective flex pick, but she has powerful laning, good scaling, and does everything you'd want from an AD. The ability to have self-peel is also really strong on ADs, especially with the amount of engage that comes from jungle and supports right now. Xayah is popular for the same reasons as Trist, with only slightly weaker scaling because of her range. Supports also haven't really changed much. The nerfs to Rell weren't impactful enough to knock her out of pro play, even if they did nerf her priority a little bit. Therefore, engaged frontline supports continue to stay at the top. Alistar has been the common answer into Rell, but he's all in all a well-rounded engaged support too. Thresh is the interesting one because he's been popular in Europe all split and is starting to see higher presence globally. He's a well-rounded support that does a bit of everything and can also open up bot lanes to other AD carries that have less self-peel but more hyper carry potential, like a Jinx perhaps. With few bad matchups, the Soul Reaver will likely continue to stay popular. Now, this is a list of champions that we expect to see a lot of, but Crownshot, I know you can give us a lot more insight in that usually during playoffs, we tend to see a lot of things change over the course of the playoffs series.
Yeah, so generally during playoffs, you prepare for one team, right? For example, in Super Week, you need to prepare against 3 different teams, so most teams probably just draft for themselves what they feel most comfortable playing, but a lot of times when you play playoffs, you can prepare champions that counter what the enemy team is playing, right? So, and obviously playoffs is on the same patch from start to finish, which causes like more picks to be discovered as it goes by. So I'm sure there will be some pocket picks.
I certainly hope so. And I think something that Crownshot just mentioned is definitely interesting to me. When you're only focusing on one team and you have to dive real deep into your own champion pool as well as potentially your enemies, but then the week after, you get to watch all of that footage, you get to understand and learn it. Let's quickly take a look at some of the summaries of 11.6 and Vedius. When we look at some of these buffs and these nerfs, what's your expectation on the overall meta? Are we going to see big changes?
Likely not. We already talked about it earlier. All those lists of champions shouldn't be anything crazy. We do see the nerfs to Lilia and Hecarim coming through, but from my conversations with pro teams, they're like, they weren't big enough, they weren't strong enough right now. These are still the go-to, and while the Stride Breaker nerfs might hurt some champions, for the most part, the meta is likely to stay largely the same.
And I guess until something actually delivers and is proven on stage, the status quo stays the same. But I do see an Akali and a Sylas buff, and Crownshot, when we were preparing for the weekend, you were talking a lot about Sylas. What's your expectations for this specific pick when we come ahead into playoffs?
Well, I think a lot of champions that are picked in first 3 right now are, it's like Hecarim first pick, Gnar blind, and Alistar as an answer to Rell or even a blind. So Sylas obviously loves all of these ults. That's why I think he'll be a very big part of the meta. If people continue to pick these champs and TF, right, he's also used as a pick against TF. So as long as these 4 champs are going to be in the game, then I think Sylas will for sure be played.
We also have a lot of big Sylas players in Europe. Caps is probably the most notable one back in MSI 2019. Akali and Sylas were his two go-to champions, and that kind of trickled down throughout the rest of Europe as well. And even today, I saw a new Sylas build about the Muramana, so I think that Sylas can definitely start to rise in priority.
What about Rumble mid? Do you think we're going to see that?
I think we're going to see a lot less Rumble mid, that's for sure.
Okay, we'll find out. All right, so that does set us up as far as the picks and the bans are concerned. And just before we get into our very first series, I did want to catch everyone up on the LEC playoff format. The top 6 teams from the regular season will advance to playoffs, with the top 4 being placed in the upper bracket, while seeds 5 and 6 are placed in the lower bracket. The format is not a full double elimination, because once you make it to the finals weekend, if you lose a series there, you're done and you're eliminated. So on the journey to the finals, I wanted to demonstrate where teams will be moving with respective wins and losses. And you can already see the round 1 matchups. Today, we'll be starting with the first match, Fnatic versus SK. It is an elimination match. And what that does mean is that whoever loses is done. And I'm expecting Fnatic to pick up a win. So they will move themselves over to match number 5, which I have to drive this way. Get that in there. All right, so that will eliminate SK. They'll set us up with Fnatic. Now we start looking at the top of the bracket, and let's take a look at some spicy results. I actually think FLICKR will take down G2 tomorrow, and I think Rogue will take down the Mad Lions. That will set themselves up on the Saturday match of round 2. And what's very important when we look at match 4 and match 6, you have to look at seeding of the respective teams that lost from round 1. In this scenario, G2 are the highest seed. Therefore, they will get placed into match number 6. And in this scenario, Mad Lions will make their way down to face Fnatic. And that will set us up for our weekend of games. Mad Lions will eliminate Fnatic and advance to face G2 in my scenario. Rogue will eliminate FLICKR and advance to the final. And what that means is Schalke 04 will move themselves into the semi-final Saturday and be guaranteed a top 3 seed. Now let's take a look at G2 and Mad. I don't think things will get too spicy in that scenario, and I'm expecting G2 to pick up a win. I'm also expecting G2 to get revenge for an earlier loss, make their way up to the final, and I think maybe Rogue can win the final. If that was a little confusing to you, you can check out all the information at lec.gg/format, and be sure to trust everyone on the broadcast team to keep you updated as each result gets locked in. Our opening series is Fnatic versus SK. It is a matchup with a glorious past that's still waiting to be reignited.
He has no follow-up here. Abadag into the forward. Gold target to finish the job. Upset looking in. He's one off. That's the S-style rank. Spin, spin, spin. Oh, my name is Samira. I'm balanced. Oh, no, this is not a fight that G2 can afford to take. Whippo into the back line. My God. Through Riot grabbing one in the meantime. Upset gonna grab another kill. Moving in now. Meanwhile, on the side, though, Selfmade is so incredibly squishy, and Blue is out for blood.
If you're saying an upset, I feel like they will. They usually always win bot, so I'm not scared of that at all. And yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for them to beat us.
Look at the sleeves coming out. He's gonna land on the 3 members. Takes dives onto the back line once again. Banda's already killed Jesu. Then here comes him, and Tommy's still alive. Opening up him post the stop push. It's all on Banda to try and get in, and he manages to keep Tommy alive for the moment. Blue diving around. Tommy trying to trade. The team to get away from this one, but check on that. Locked up. He will to be the damage threat, but Genax with the turn. The Gnar is just too powerful.
But I feel like now I'm ready to win again, and I'm ready to like show what I'm worth. So I think against Fnatic, our series will be slightly more interesting than maybe they have anticipated, and it's something that we feel more and more comfortable with day by day.
This matchup was once upon a time known as El Clasico, back in the good old days when Fnatic and SK ruled Europe. Now, after the departure of Rekkles from Fnatic this year, and of course the fact that SK's coach, Jesus, is the only remaining person from that era, Fnatic versus SK is taking on a very, very different look. I'm going to start with SK Gaming. This is a team that surprised me. Yep. At the beginning of the year, I did not have expectations that, first of all, they'd be in playoffs, and secondly, they'd be in playoffs against Fnatic. Talk to me about these new young players on SK.
I think a lot of people were probably equally surprised when they looked at that roster. There were a lot of names that they were unfamiliar with, and the names that they did see probably weren't that impressive. You look at a player like Genax. a lot of people thought that he wasn't that strong last split. You look at Treats and coming over from North America, he also didn't have the best performances over on TSM. So a lot of question marks surrounded this roster, but I feel like we've seen what I think Jesus does very well, install a good set of fundamentals into his rosters that they can then build upon. And I think that what the team does have is a great foundation that has only gotten better, at least through the first half of the split, with Treats being their main go-to guy. But then unfortunately, they have struggled themselves as that foundation has been challenged and rattled, as other teams have also shown improvement.
I mean, they absolutely have. And Crownshot, of course, you'll be very aware of SK and especially the supporting staff. But what's your perception on how they've played throughout spring?
Well, I think they had like a clear style and way they played, and with pretty good meta read and drafts. They played very heavily like engaged supports like Rel. They were one of the earliest teams to play a lot of Rel, and they always gave Treats openings to play the way he plays, right? And they also had pretty good skirmishing, but I think the farther the split went on, teams kind of realized that was a way, that was the main way they win. So they just started playing to not allow that to happen, right? To control their supports roams and engages, and they started losing a bit more.
I mean, they did, and like if SK struggled in the last few weeks, they went 4-5. That second round robin is still technically better than the team they're facing tonight, Fnatic. Fnatic only won 3 out of their last 9 games. And if you compare their first half performance to their second half performance, Crownshot, same question. What went wrong for Fnatic?
Well, I think Fnatic was maybe a bit too overeager in some games. They were like super aggressive with big leads, and yeah, but in my mind, when I look at their names, right, and when I think, oh, it's going to be a best of 5 after on stage after more than a year, and all of these players have like played in so many finals, World Finals, LEC Finals, LCS Finals, and then I look at the SK's names who are like rookies they have never actually played on the LEC stage. I for sure favor Fnatic heavily.
I mean, it's difficult to disagree when Crownshot puts it into perspective, the difference in experience between the two and the circumstances with the players returning to the stage today. But I very much agree that, for me, Fnatic have showcased a lot that sometimes they are a little too over-aggressive. I think that with the introduction of Upset to this roster, we have seen an identity shift where rather than pulling back, they're always about going forward. And Crownshot can speak on first-hand experience of how aggressive it is to play against that Upset and Hylissang bot lane. So we know that they like to be violent. We know that they like to fight you. And I think that sometimes that aggression has hurt them. The question is, will their experience be able to help them rein some of that aggression in as they return to the stage today?
Well, just before I get you to build on that one, Laure is checking in with Yamatocannon for the first interview on location in studio in over a year.
Thank you very much, Trevor. And Yamato, thank you so much for joining me. How good does it feel to be back in the studio finally?
It feels really good. It's been very weird for me to play or be coaching and doing it in the office, because when I was in Korea, we did it on stage too, and it's just been a very strange experience, but it feels like every aspect of the studio is bringing everything back to me.
It's beautiful, honestly. We're so glad to have you all back in the studio. But I mean, we saw some pictures. The guys have been able to scream on stage, from what I heard. Did you notice some differences from playing from the office and going back to the studio? Because it's been a while for these guys.
Sure, it's different. But at the same time, you know, practicing on stage just isn't the same thing, because there's like an element of, like, we try to prepare as much as possible, but there's an element of everyone knows we're trying to fake it. And it just isn't the same. And I know now on match day, I look into the eyes of the people, and there's this, you know, hunger for blood. It's very, very different from what you see on, you know, scrim days, because yesterday was just a scrim day. The element of people watching, the element of, you know, risk in the sense of playing a match, I think that's what really, really triggers something inside of all of us.
And I feel like this hunger for blood, as you said, will show up even more today, facing the rookies from SK. How are the players feeling backstage right now?
They're feeling pretty good, pretty good. We have had some rough times with illness plaguing our practice and everything in general, but I'm glad to say that everyone's healthy. Health is, you know, the #1 priority. It goes over everything, and now, you know, we're good to begin the real journey.
Yeah, That's very nice to hear. I'm glad that everyone is safe and healthy. But yeah, as you said, the real journey begins today. Best of 5 series come again. This is a moment where experience matter, I want to say. And we know that all the SK rookies, as I said, are rookies, so inexperienced on stage. How do you think it's going to play out for you guys today?
Well, on our end, it's a lot of focus on us and what we're doing. And I think, you know, we have so much different experience. You know, we have everyone on the team have played a bunch of best of 5s, and meshing that together, it's an easy task, because I think what ties it together is just that, you know, will to win. I think that's what usually defines best of 5s, the mentality you have coming into it and the vision of being able to see yourself winning it. And for that vision is super, super clear for all of us due to our experience.
Now, quick words about the game. When you think about the matchup statistically, I want to say that Fnatic is ahead. When you look at SK, they have a lot of advantage coming from the bot lane, but I feel like they're conscious of that and they know that this is their strength and also weakness. So how do you intend on playing on that to get the edge anyway?
Well, you know, as Laure, you know, I can't reveal too much. I don't know if someone's listening. I know this is, you know, this is going to be played, so I don't want to reveal any secrets, but we've paid attention to what they've been doing good throughout the season, and we've been very, very mindful about it. Even though a lot of focus on us as a team, we're not going to underestimate anyone that we face.
All right. Well, can't wait to see you guys on stage, Yamato. So good to have you back once again. Thank you for the interview.
Good to be back. Thank you.
And Trevor, back to you.
Oh, I'm so much happier to have you back, Laure, doing interviews in studio. Yamato, guarded, but forthcoming as ever.
Confident as well.
Confident as always, right? Now, look, Fnatic, they have the right to be confident. They have 2 very dominant wins against SK during the regular season. And when we were preparing for this, and we were looking at how these teams are going to play against each other, one of the big things that we kept looking at was the bottom lane. Now, just before we dive into that, Crownshot, talk to me about Fnatic's play style as a whole and how you've seen them playing throughout spring.
Well, I would say they're a very skill-checky, aggressive team. They are not afraid to dive you early, to trade kills, to constantly fight. I think there was a game against SK where the second one where they lost a fight, and then literally 1 minute later they're taking another fight and winning it. And playing against teams like this, it always feels like if you give them like an inch, they'll take the whole arm, right? Also, their bot lane is they punish the slightest missteps, and they're always looking to fight, and no matter what matchup they're playing, and I think this gives them quite a big advantage here today.
Yeah, as Crownshot rightly puts it, when you look at Fnatic and when you look at SK too, both teams love to try and play through the bot side of the map. I think the biggest difference is something that Crownshot was saying earlier, is they like to limit test you, you know? When you come into the lane, they're always skill checking you and making sure that if you're not performing at the optimal level and you're not taking all the correct steps, they're just going to punish you for it at every single opportunity. So you have to be playing at peak performance every time you go up against this bot lane, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest concerns that I have for this matchup, because when we look at how SK have been winning, we think of like the Kalista Jarvans that they've been getting in bot lane. Really strong 2 versus 2. Jezu's able to play comfort. Treats is unlocked on the map, but I don't think that Fnatic is going to allow them to do that, especially with how much they like to try and play through bot side.
I mean, the thing is, whenever we've been talking about this, and even when we've said on air, how does Fnatic win? Well, you know, Upset and Hilly, they go forward, and there's teleports bottom, and there's fights in the bottom lane. When you look at the stats, in terms of 2v2 kills, for Upset and Hylissang, they are dominating the league. They're not just leading, they are dominating. 11 2v2 kills. They get in your face the entire time. And then I go, oh, but where's SK's biggest strength? Well, it's Treats by a massive margin. Yep. And, you know, Gen X is surprised, but how does SK with Jezu and Treats get over the strength of Fnatic's bottom lane?
I think it's going to be really difficult. I think that the best thing that they can do is try to match the aggression that Fnatic play through bot and ideally get themselves a strong draft. One condition could be that you have the better scaling draft. Sometimes when Fnatic tries to fight you too often, they overfight, they give away picks, and then if you have the better scaling, you can actually turn things around in the later game. But it very much depends on how these young players handle the pressure of the stage.
Now, Crownshot, we just have a small amount of time left before I will ask for predictions. Talk to me just about playing on stage, and maybe from the perspective of SK, who many of these players will be sitting under the lights and the pressure for the first time.
Yeah, for sure it's different. For one, it's colder. The monitor setups are different. Like, it's not the same as playing scrims from the office or wherever people play. And for sure, we'll have to see how they'll adapt to it. Yeah.
Do you think it's going to cause SK problems?
I mean, maybe, yeah. Maybe for sure the first game they might have a bit of like jitters, a bit of nerves, but hopefully they can overcome them so we get a good series.
Well, we've got 30 seconds left to go. The players are setting up on stage. It feels so good to be back. Vedius, give me your prediction and why.
I'm predicting 3-0 Fnatic. I think that they have SK's number, and I don't think SK have shown enough diversity in their playstyle to be able to match what Fnatic.
But fans have told me, and they've said it, this Fnatic shouldn't be that favorite. Did you see them in the last few weeks? What would you say to those fans?
I would say that Fnatic returning to stage and Fnatic with 2 weeks of prep, and when all of the players are healthy, I have a lot of confidence that they'll come in strong.
Crownshot, who is winning and with what score?
Yeah, 3-0 Fnatic.
That simple? Not even a question?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Fans at home who voted on Discord are also voting 3-0 Fnatic. The moment we have all been waiting for has arrived as the players have returned to the LEC stage for the 2021 Spring Playoffs. Let's see what happens.
8 weeks, 85 games, 6 spots.
G2, Rogue, Mad Lions, Schalke, Fnatic, SK, that is how the cookie has crumbled.
Spirit clear coming out, there's the Ragnarok. Niski shuffles forward, the train comes in, oh my god, Jankos! Jankos, that is disgusting! Oh, there it is again!
It happens again! Oh.
That is beautiful!
The G2 have locked first place in the LEC.
We just want to win against Schalke, we want to go 3-0. We want to show how strong of a team we are. And we just want to make Julius molding, that's all.
Amanoia, Cannon, flying! The Requiem, Praetor, whatever gods you do, Excel! Because immediately they are just deleted off the map.
Schalke, what an unreal performance. And it is another happy Schalke to qualify for playoffs.
Winning today it means so much to me.
Every day I'm thinking about how hype it will be, you know, playing on stage again. It's just gonna be my comfort zone, I think. When it really matters, I think I perform the best.
Oduwamne coming in, that's the Megadar, 3 into the wall. Fnatic don't see it coming, but Oduwamne digging graves for the Fnatic faithful. That's a triple. Larson is just throwing down damage left and right. Moonstone be damned. Rogue are not interested. That is the 8.
Rogue, they're finishing top 2 now in the regular season for the second time in a row.
We have very good chances to take the trophy home. It's going to be very exciting, especially to play on stage, because it kind of changes a lot to play on stage, and it's way more fun to play on stage, so I'm very hyped for it.
The Elder Dragon is going to a smite. Elioya gets it! And the Mad Lions have pounced. The Mad Lions have struck, and there's just nothing G2 can do. The Mad Lions will take the win and lock their spots in the top 4.
I'm always excited to play against Handsome and Trimby. And right now, we are in a better state than we ever were. We know more about the bot lane matchups than before. So I'm quite confident that we are gonna play really well.
Checolat locked up. He was supposed to be the damage threat, but Jenax with the turn. The Gnar is just too powerful. Treats dives in onto BTO. The rest of SK not there to follow up. So what use? The base call comes out as well. In goes Tinks, and look at the sleeves coming out. It's going to land on the 3 members. Tinks dives onto the backline once again. Vander's really killed Jezu. But here comes Himmet. Kobe's still alive. Opening up, Himmet pops the stopwatch. It's all on Vander to try and get in. And he manages to keep Kobe alive for the moment. But Blue diving around. Kobe trying to trade. Blue survives at SK. Jenax gets the ace.
A lot of people have written me off as just being another NA import, you know, and I want to show that now I'm ready to win again, and I'm ready to like show what I'm worth.
Fnatic out of top 4. What is happening in the LEC? It's a wild ride. Still seeing signs of hope on the side of Fnatic. They can come back. Whippo into the back line, my God! The 1,000-pierce bear just shredding through G2. Coming from Caps, Niski not in position to body block. Now the pushback, that is clutch! Niski, right when it matters, Caps, he'll get shut down in the end.
As a player, what keeps me driven, I kind of left everything behind.